The greatest mystery in physics is probably how particle physics and gravity can be combined in one model. The mathematical structure of Lie group E8 could help here. It has symmetry properties and could bring about a uniform theory in physics, quasi the theory of everything, most specifically the world formula par excellence. Welcome to Click Some Science and Fiction. Here you'll find exciting science videos 3 times a week. Subscribe to the channel, only then you won't miss a video. A warm welcome.
1, 2, 3.
It should describe all processes and states in the universe, from the smallest things in the quantum range to the largest cosmic structures at all. And a US physicist claims to have set it up. What can this alleged world formula really do, and what is behind it? In the 1960s, physicists had already discovered that elementary particles with their different properties such as mass and charge can be brought into a certain order. These are the so-called Lie groups, i.e. structures in mathematics that have special symmetry properties. The simpler groups can be used to describe objects such as cones or cylinders. Even if they are rotated, they look the same. The so-called E8 structure is different. It is much more complex. It comprises a total of 248 dimensions, and this does not mean spatial dimensions but degrees of freedom. Thus, the variables of a system with whose size change, also the complete structure changes. With their help, research teams have developed the standard model of elementary particle physics over time. Specifically, it consists of a combination of a total of 3 Lie groups in which all known elementary particles and 3 of the fundamental forces are taken into account. But one important thing is missing: gravity. For a long time it was assumed that this problem would solve itself in the course of time, exactly by the discoveries of a Lie group which also does not exclude gravity. But this did not happen, and by other ideas for uniform theory of physics, the E8 theory moved into the background. In 2007, however, it hit the headlines again with researcher Anthony Garrett Lacey of the University of San Diego. He filled the E8 structure with various known particles and forces. He then assigned hypothetical particles to the 20 unoccupied points. In a computer simulation, he then rotated the structure. The pattern results show how the particles and forces may interact. The big thing about it is that these correspond to the measurement results in the real world. Lizzie, at that moment my brain exploded when I saw the implications and the beauty of this thing. I thought, holy smoke, that's it. For example, quarks place themselves around gravitational electromagnetic particles in families of 3 particles each with the same properties but different masses. The standard model also describes these particles in the same way. Lacey published his results under the title An Extraordinary Theory of Everything. Lacey particularly pointed out that his model does without strings and that it is so simple and beautiful. Lacey is sure that the universe is based on pure geometry. But one thing is still outstanding: the final experimental proof, or at least solid evidence of his theory. This would be the case, for example, if the Large Hadron Collider near Geneva were to detect the 20 particles that Lacey had filled its structure with. Smaller indications of E8 symmetry have already been discovered in an experiment. A research team from Oxford had cooled niobium and cobalt crystals to 0.4 degrees above absolute zero. The atoms formed long chains and the electrons behaved like small ball magnets due to their spin, a kind of angular momentum of their particles. And because of this, a pattern spontaneously formed when the research team applied a strong magnetic field at right angles to the spin axis. The surprise was great when it was discovered that the spins had arranged themselves according to the E8 symmetry. Why exactly and what is behind it, that is still a big mystery. But it is exciting that E8 is not just a mathematical construct, but can actually be found in the real world. And another word about string theory, which has long eclipsed the E8 model due to its brilliance. In any case, some physicists are of the opinion that the E8 model does not contradict string theory at all, but only complements it. We once reported here in detail about string theory, in which the elementary particles assume different properties depending on the state of vibration. In contrast to the E8 model, it does not exclude gravity. However, the oscillation of the strings refers to up to 21 spatial dimensions, depending on the model. In any case, both formulas together would unite the theory of relativity and quantum theory into one, into a world formula of quantum gravity. But there is still a lot to be done, because there is no experimental proof yet for string theory. But there is still a lot to be done, because there is no experimental proof yet for string theory. But there's also a hint in our video about this topic. Does our universe not exist? Will string theory be proven soon? Click on it right here and don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell and stay tuned, and see you soon.